Renting out your property can be a great way to earn some extra income. However, it's important to have a solid rental agreement in place to protect your interests as a landlord. A rental agreement is a legal document that outlines the terms and conditions of the rental agreement between the landlord and the tenant. In this video, I'll be sharing a comprehensive guide on rental agreements for homeowners in India. We will cover everything from the basics of rental agreements to the key clauses that you should include in your agreement. Hi, I'm Yoshu. Before we get into the video, do consider subscribing to our channel and hit the bell icon for future updates. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. The first thing is to know the important terms that you should include in a rental agreement, which are information of the tenants. Names of all the occupants should be mentioned in the rental agreement so that there's a clarity about every individual living in the rented property taking responsibility for the place. Duration of stay, to make sure that the tenants vacates as per the decided time and will not illegally try to take possession of the property. This will leave the owner on a safer side legally. Next is rent amount. The rental amount or installments that have to be paid should be specific. The sum of the money needed to be paid every single month, the date and the punishment statement for any late payments should also be mentioned. This is done so that both parties know clearly what needs to be done. Next is maintenance cost. The maintenance cost is either the tenant's or landlord's responsibility. It varies from property to property. It has to be mentioned in the rental agreement who will be responsible if any damage is done, or bear the costs for major or minor repairs so that there is no confusion or miscommunication post the duration of the tenancy. Next is rules. This mentions the rules regarding the safekeeping and the treatment of the property and its surroundings. Rules about subletting the space and causing alterations to the property are mentioned here. Next is renewal of the rental agreement. Under this, mention the date of the renewal of the agreement if the tenant is staying for a longer period that extends post the decided upon duration. Then they need to sign the lease again. Next is amenities. Here mention the amenities that are provided to the tenant, their condition and if they require any repairs, etc. Next is exit clause. If the tenant is leaving before the decided upon a time, then she or he would have to abide by the rules of the exit clause pertaining to the agreement. Next is date and signatures. Lastly, both parties need to sign the agreement for proof, stating that they agree with all the clauses and rules. Failure of doing so might lead to unwanted legal action. Here are some essential terms and conditions that both parties should be aware of. Security deposit. This is a sum of money that the tenant has to pay to you as a landlord as security against any damages or unpaid rent. The amount is usually equivalent to 2 to 3 months of rent and is refundable at the end of the lease period, subject to the condition that the tenant has not caused any damage to the property. So let's say if the rent of the house is 30,000 per month, the security deposit will be around 60 to 90,000. That is a total of 2 to 3 months of rent. Next is rent payment. The rent payment is usually made in advance and the due date is mentioned in the rental agreement. If the tenant fails to pay the rent on time, you have the right to charge a penalty or even terminate the tenancy. Next is maintenance charges. The rental agreement should clearly state who is responsible for paying the maintenance charges. In most cases, you as a landlord will bear the cost of maintaining the structure of the building while the tenant is responsible for any damage caused by them. Next is use of property. It should also clearly state the purpose for which the property is being rented. The tenant should not use the property for any illegal activities or anything that violates the law. Next is termination clause. The rental agreement should specify the notice period required by both parties to terminate the lease. This could be anywhere between 15 to 30 days, depending on the terms agreed upon. One more crucial element of any rental agreement that you may not know about is the police verification of the tenant. This is an important step that needs to be done to ensure the safety of your property. According to Section 188 of the Indian Penal Code, doing a background check is mandatory. Failure to do so is a punishable offense. Now let us talk about the rental agreement process. In India, everyone who wishes to reside in a rented property must register the rental agreement. To register a rental agreement, follow these steps. It is necessary to register agreements that last more than a year, while agreements that last less than a year should be notarized by a public notary along with stamp duty to be considered credible. Prepare an outline of a rent agreement with the preferable clauses related to the rent and security deposit. Next, get the rental agreement printed on a stamp paper with an assigned value. Then get the signature of both the tenant and yours as a landlord on the designated places of the rental agreement. Visit the sub-registrar's office at the relevant sub-localities along with the tenant. Carry a copy of the ownership proof of the property, passport size photographs and ID cards for individual verification and validation. As soon as the stamp duty is paid, the registration of the rental agreement is completed. The charges typically are about Rs 1100 regardless of the property value or rental amount. You can also hire a lawyer to do the same. Now let us discuss how to execute a valid rental agreement. A rent agreement must be registered in accordance with the Registration Act of 1908 if it lasts for a period longer than 12 months. There is no necessity to register the rental agreement if the term is less than 12 or 11 months. The rental agreement must be printed on stamp paper received from the sub-registrar office of the location where the property is located. The agreement must be signed in person at the sub-registrar's office by both the landlord and the renter in the presence of the registrar. The stamp paper must be signed by two witnesses as well and registered when the necessary payments have been paid. However, you can skip this entire process as NoBroker offers a hassle-free way to create a rental agreement. We also provide service of next-day rental agreement delivery. It is legally binding and includes all the essential terms and conditions that you need. You can also customize the agreement to suit your specific requirements. Renting out your property can be a great way to generate income, but it's important to protect yourself as a landlord by understanding the key terms of a rental agreement, adhering to legal requirements, and verifying your tenant's background. You can ensure a smooth and successful tenancy. Well, that's all for this video. If you found this video informational, do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to hit the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching. See you next time.